Hey, welcome to the Simple Nutrition Podcast, a show that helps you learn practical and actual nutrition tips from an expert. I am your host, Leonila Campos, a registered dietitian with over 8 years of experience in the nutrition field. Hey, welcome back to another episode in the Simple Nutrition Podcast. I am your host, Leonila Campos, and today we are going to talk about healthy eating on a budget. Oh my goodness, because if you go grocery shopping now, right, compared to 2-3 years ago, we're all spending maybe 50% more at every grocery trip that we do. So I joke around, I almost need another part-time job to help me pay just for my groceries because I spend so much now, right? As an example, I can spend $200 to $300 a week to buy groceries for a family of four, right? And that's, oh my goodness, if we think about, let's say you do $200 a week, right? That's $800 a month. So yeah, $800 a month in just groceries, right? So, right, a lot of people don't have that extra money to spend in so much groceries. And so I think learning how to um, eat or how to buy groceries with and having a budget, right? But that's still healthy. It's really a good thing to do because I also hear a lot of the times, oh, eating healthy is expensive, right? And is it though? Is it expensive? Or, when we look at it at the moment, it can definitely look expensive, right? But we look at the overall health and the overall impact that it has on our health. Obviously, eating, I don't know, a fast food meal that is going to be $5 for that meal. But if we do that on a daily basis, right, what is the impact that is going to have on our health long term? Then it's better to spend a little bit more in eating healthier foods that are going to give us more vitality and optimally is going to help us live a healthier and good quality life. Then it's absolutely worth it, right? When you think about it that way. And so I think giving you the tools to help you eat healthy on a budget is great. And so hence why I'm doing this episode. I'll add some resources to the show notes. So check out the show notes. I'm going to be adding a few budget-friendly recipes that you can try and also other tips and tricks that you can use to help you reduce your budget. Now, let's start with the first things first, right? Number one, you have to have a plan, right? You're gonna hear me about talk about plans a lot in the podcast, but having a plan really gives you that roadmap as to what you need to buy without mindlessly buying or thinking, oh, I need this ingredient and I went to the store and I didn't get it. Now I have to go back. Well, might as well. I won't do that. Instead, let's have pizza today, right? So having a plan as to what meals you're going to make, right, for the entire week is going to be very useful and helpful because you're a busy person, right? And so if you don't plan ahead of time, hopefully over the weekend and go grocery shopping over the weekend, during the week is really difficult, right? If you go to work, even if you work from home, right? At the end of the day, who wants to leave the house, right? I don't. Usually when I come home, like it's something that I really have to do or I really need to get to go to leave my house and go to the store, right? Once I'm home, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to leave the house, right? It's my comfort zone. Is where I come home to relax and just forget about everything else. So think about those things, right? Don't say, oh, I'll have time on Wednesday and I'll go. Because something is going to come up and you're just going to end up not going. So have a plan, right? Sit down and say, okay, these are the meals that we're going to have for the entire week, Monday through Friday, right? And if it's about communicating with your family, okay, give me one meal that you want to have this week, right? And if you don't want to participate, then that's fine. You're just going to eat what I'm going to make you. But have that plan ready, right? And if it helps your family to visualize it, post it right on your fridge So that way they already expect what you're going to be having, and then they're not asking you all the time. So sit down, plan those meals, Monday through Friday, what you're going to have, what are the recipes that you're going to use, then create your grocery shopping list, right? Because that's going to guide you through the store to buy the things that you need. So you need to have that grocery list. Excuse me for a moment. I think my son needs me. Okay, that shopping list is going to be, again, your guide through the store. Is going to obviously help you buy exactly what you need. The idea is to try to stay close to the grocery list as you can. Obviously, if there's something on the grocery list that you need, then absolutely buy it. But the thing is that when you have a grocery list, when you have a plan, it almost gives you that like you can almost create a budget, right? Okay, I am only going to spend $200 in groceries a week, right? And nothing else. That's my budget, and that's all I have to, it will help you. Now, there's something called the envelope system, I believe, where it's like old school, right? You put the money that you're going to use for your groceries in that envelope. You take that envelope with you, and that's all you use, right? Obviously, that is more restrictive, but it can help. But it also is going to help you not to go to the store so much, right? Because then that's also where you can spend extra money, because you're going to the grocery store so much because you forgot things, and now you're at the grocery store and you're like, oh, let me buy this thing, and now you're adding more to that budget. It's almost like when you want to go to Target only for toilet paper, right, or whatever, and you come back home with like $300 worth of Target things that you were not trying to spend, right? But they're there, and we're like, oh, I need that, or I want that, and then now you spend so much money. Anyway, so that grocery list is going to be based on the meals that you have planned for the week, and that can help you with your budget. Now, other tips and tricks that can help you too is buying foods that are bulk, right? Like buying things that are in bulk that will last long. So rice, right? If you use rice often, you can buy a big, 5-pound bag of rice that you can use as you need. Beans are another option, more of those grains as well. What else? Pastas, things like that, right? That are going to last longer, and then you can buy it in bulk. Buying foods that are canned or frozen are also a healthy option and can be more affordable. Now, a lot of the times I have patients that tell me, "Oh, are those healthy options?" And the answer is yes. Frozen foods are almost equivalent to fresh foods, right? So if you buy frozen vegetables or frozen fruits, they're pretty much about the same, unless if they add a sugar, obviously, or oils or any other additives. Then it's different. But if it's just all the rest, right? Broccoli, frozen broccoli, or frozen fruit, then that's pretty much it. Now, if you have a consistency issue, then that's going to be different, right? Because obviously, when you freeze fruit or veggies and then you defrost them, then they're going to be mushy or more soft. And so, if that's something that you don't like, then opt for the fresh produce. But that can also help you save, right? Because you can buy a big bag of frozen vegetables, you put it in your freezer, and then just use them as you need them, without like buying a big amount of fresh produce, and then at the end of the week, for some reason you didn't use it, and now they've gone to waste, which is wasted money. So that's another thing where you can do frozen foods, or can. And when it comes to canned vegetables or fruits, right, you do want them to be in their natural way as possible, meaning that no added sodium if possible, or reduce or low sodium, because we don't want that extra sodium, added, especially we have high blood pressure issues that can impact our blood pressure. And same thing with fruits, right? We don't want canned fruits that have, those heavy syrups. We want them in their own juice or 100% juice. And that's, closer to the fresh foods. And if we're wanting to save a little bit of money, that's one of the ways to do it as well. Also because they're going to last you longer. Some other options, right, are or tips, um, almost doing your own things, right? If you're able to. So, for example, this is more so like if you wanted to grow a garden, right, which is a great idea, especially for herbs and spices, um, because you have it there and you can use them as you need to, and then replant things and so on. If you're not as good with a garden like me, right, you can start very small. Actually, that's one of my huge goals that I want to create a garden. I have when we moved to a house, the previous owners had like this beautiful garden, and I was so excited that I was going to have a garden. But then I got busy, and the poor garden just died. And so I still have the beds, right, the garden beds or whatever you call them. I just need to like add the get the dirt ready, and then the seeds. So if you have tips on how to start a garden, please let me know, because that is something that I really want to do. But I've had clients. I've had this particular client that had this amazing garden. I mean, it was like half of her lot was a garden, and she did. She planted mostly greens, leafy green veggies. She did tomatoes, eggplants, carrots. And she would tell me, I don't have to spend ever. I don't have to spend money on my vegetables because I grow them, and I think that is amazing, right? Because if you're able to do that, oh my goodness, you will be saving so much money in your own produce. Um, that's an option. But another thing too, right, that can help um, elongate the life of your produce is, like, for example, your herbs. You can put them in water, like a glass of water, and put a bag over it, put it in the fridge, right? Like your cilantro or your parsley, it can last longer that way. Um, Putting your produce in the veggie crispers can also help. I started doing that with my berries, and it actually does last longer, a couple days longer, which is great, right? So instead of my raspberries going bad 3 days after I buy them, they can last a whole week. Another awesome trick that actually my husband told me, and that's very exciting because we love avocados, but when we would leave the avocados outside on the counter, obviously, right, there's so many memes about, I can't leave the house because my avocado is going to be, ripe in at this time. Anyway, but it is so true, right? Avocados ripe in such a short period of time. And then after that, it's like they're mushy or like they're, I don't know. Anyway, but my husband said, hey, put the avocados in a bowl with water and put it in the fridge. And yes, they lasted for weeks. So I think I still have two avocados there that we bought like maybe 3 weeks ago. And obviously they're going to ripen, they're going to go bad eventually, right? But if you can do that, right, putting your avocados in water and in the fridge, they can last you longer, right? Several days longer. And you don't have to spend on buying avocados, and then you forget about them, or you don't use them right away, and then they go to waste. And avocados are not cheap, so there's another trick. um what else? We usually also make our own peanut butter. Now you might think that's probably really hard to do, and it's actually so simple. We buy the peanuts from Trader Joe's. They're roasted unsalted, and then they're roasted lightly salted, just to have a small amount of saltiness. It's not huge, right? And then we have a Ninja blender. And we've had this blender for a long time, but we just add that. We just add both of the peanuts in this blender, this Ninja blender. But if you have a really good blender, then you can use your really good blender, and we just blend them away, right? You don't literally, you don't need to add oil. You don't need to add more salt or sugar, just that, right? You just blend them away until you have the consistency that you need or that you want. You put it in a glass container, airtight container, and you put it in your fridge, and it will last you a long time. Like you literally are going to finish it before like it goes bad, if it goes bad. So I've been doing that for years now, and it saves so much, right? Because a small jar of peanut butter can be expensive, but also the ingredients, right? Like, why do you need to add more oil to peanuts? You don't need it. Like, literally, try it and let me know. But that's all you need. You just need peanuts in a really cool blender, blend them away, and you are never going to go back to the store-bought peanut butter. Now, there are some places where you can also blend your own, like Whole Foods has a little mill or a blender where you can do that, and I think Winco also has that. So let's say you don't want to do that. Those two places that I know, you can also buy your almost homemade peanut butter without added ingredients. um, Other tips that can help when trying to eat healthy on a budget is freezing the foods that you're not going to eat right away. So for example, you made like this batch of soup, right? And you know that you can only eat the soup for 2 days because you don't like to eat foods longer than that, and that's okay. But instead of throwing it away, you can freeze it, right? So maybe when you want some soup, you can just defrost it, warm it up, and then eat soup for the next 2 days. And that's another option too, right? You can freeze some of those foods, casseroles or soups or whatever, that you can use at another time. Um, what else here that I have? So many tips. Yes, other things that you can do, right? If you know that you're not going to use your herbs, and you know that they're going to go bad, let's say you only need a small amount, what you can do is you can chop them, right? Add a little bit of olive oil and put them in like ice cube maker and freeze them, right? And so when you need to cook something, just grab a little bit of the cube, the olive oil with the herb, and then you put it on your pan and then cook your foods. That's another way to save your herbs, instead of letting them go bad. What else here? Those are the main ones, right? That I can think of at the moment. I think I said I have some resources for you. Another way to decrease your grocery budget, right, is maybe adding 1 or 2 days of doing more plant-based foods, right? They're usually more affordable when we don't buy more of those like Impossible Burger or those brands that are going to be expensive. But if you do like tofu or beans or edamame, there's these beefless, like ground beef, beefless from Trader Joe's that is like, I don't know, a pound, I think, for like $3.99 or something like that. So you can do that for your meals too. There is something called TVP, texture vegetable protein, that is dehydrated soy, that can be made into like essentially ground beef. And you can use it for like sauces, or you can use it for different things. I've seen recipes for like meatballs, um, spaghetti and meat sauce, but with using TVP, and it's actually really, really affordable. So that's another option as well. Um, yeah, those are the main ones that I can think of, right? I'm adding some other resources to the show notes. Check that out. Check out the budget-friendly recipes that I'm adding as well in there. But just to recap, right? The main thing is having a plan, because that plan is going to guide you through the week, right? Once you know what meals you want to make for that week, you can do your grocery list, and then you can go to the grocery store, obviously, and then buy your ingredients. One caveat about going to the grocery list, and I'm sure you've heard this before, don't go to the grocery list hungry. Because when that happens, everything that you see is going to sound appetizing, right? And it's going to be hard to resist not to buy it because you're so hungry, right? All you can think of is eat. It's food. So make sure that you go when you're ate, or essentially when you're not hungry. Follow that grocery list, right, as close as you can. And then if you buy on, for the most part, the same ingredients, excuse me, week after week, then you'll have an idea of how much you're spending in groceries. Then you can decide what are the things that maybe you want to reduce, or what are the ingredients that maybe you want to modify to buy in bulk, or to help you decrease or lower your um, the cost of groceries, right? But you need obviously you need to compare week after week, or a month's worth of groceries. Excuse me. So then once you have your grocery list, right, if you're able to make some of your own foods at home, that's great, like peanut butter, or have your own garden, or preserve your produce a little longer. Use those veggie crispers. Put your avocados in water. Obviously, change that water every so often, 3 to 5 days or something like that. That's another option too. Use recipes, right, that are budget friendly. You can find a ton of them on Pinterest. Also, I'm adding some of them on the show notes. You can buy frozen or canned foods that are also that can also be healthy without the added salt or sugar. You can create your own garden if you can. Again, if you are an expert at growing a garden, let me know, because I need to create mine. And what else? I think that's pretty much it. I hope these tips help you. I hope they help you to lower your grocery list cost. If you have any other tips that you also do, or that you also done, and that they've helped you, please let me know. You can add them to the comments on my YouTube video, which you'll see it in the show notes too. Or you can send me an email at fueledbyleo@gmail.com. But that is it today, my friend. Thank you so much for your time. Remember to stay strong and stay safe. I will talk to you in the next episode. Take care, and bye-bye for now. This podcast, the links and resources provided are for the purpose to educate only and are not a replacement for medical advice or nutrition therapy. I suggest you seek out the help of a trained professional to help you with your specific situation and needs.